of course, there have been soldiers and people killed since in Israel,
Yes.
and comparing it to the number of people killed in Gaza, it's not really like for like. There is a big difference between, it is collateral damage. There is no evidence that, Israel wants to kill civilians, and it is seen by every Israeli I've spoken to, and foreigner in the country, as a tragedy. And what we don't know
is... I can't let that pass, Michael.
Go on.
You can't kill tens of thousands. Half of them are children, mate. You can't claim that was all accidental.
I haven't seen evidence that there wouldn't be.
How about ordnance that is launched without any particular concern for who and where it's going to impact? Stuff that is not targeted. I think the word is dummy bombs, and the last statistic I saw was about 40 or 50% of the ordnance used in the earliest days of the conflict were dummy bombs, which you have no control over who they kill.
Well, I think that's true, but I think it's part of a strategy. I think if there was a clinical way to remove Hamas, which everyone in Israel wants to do and agrees is their choice.
There isn't a clinical way, and there isn't an unclinical way either.
But that's why it's collateral damage.
I just hate that phrase. Collateral damage is like friendly fire, isn't it? I've read reports that there was an assumed target in one of the aid cars. Haaretz has reported they believe there was, I don't think it's necessarily true, but you can claim we thought there was a Hamas fighter in the car. It's a rationale that's given up for blowing up ambulances, isn't it? That Hamas used. No, this is important. Because you can't use the word collateral damage like that. No, you can't call it collateral damage, mate. There's 9,000 dead children. It's a deliberate killing of 30,000 Palestinian people in the hope of catching some terrorists in that net. That's not collateral damage.
You're not James, you're not providing any logic for that. It's not deliberate.
I'm giving you the number. So who fired guns by accident? Who launched missiles by accident? What's the opposite of accident?
I don't understand.
The opposite of accident is deliberate. So either these missiles were fired by accident or they were fired deliberately. If they were fired deliberately in the full knowledge that countless civilians were going to be killed in the process, the killing of the civilians is deliberate.
I wouldn't agree that.
Talk me through the reasons why. Talk me through what.
Well, for the same reason that if I decide to paint my bedroom with red paint and spill it on the floor, I spilt it. My intention wasn't to spill it on the floor. It just unfortunately happened as a consequence because I'm klutzy. I don't know if I can even come down to that level of discourse, but I will out of respect for you, Michael. I'm a little bit disgusted by the analogy because we're talking about dead children and you're comparing them to spilt paint. But I appreciate that I put some pressure on you in the moment to justify what is to me an unjustifiable position. James, let's leave the spilled paint out of it. If you launch a missile knowing that it's going to kill civilians, is the killing of those civilians deliberate or accidental? It is. It's neither. It's not deliberate. It is a consequence. Okay, so let me say it again. You deliberately launch a missile knowing that civilians will die. Is the killing of the civilians deliberate? It's not the intention. No, but you know it's going to happen, so it is the intention. Yes. Well, it's not the intention. It is the intention. You know it's going to happen. If there was another way, they would do it. Well, we've already been there. If they went after terrorists in Gaza in the same way that they would go after terrorists in Israel, we would know what the other way looked like, wouldn't we? You support the continuing offensive in Gaza. I support the removal of Hamas. I wouldn't claim to be a military expert to know any better way to do it. And you believe that it can be achieved by killing more and more and more children. Hamas will not negotiate nor lay down their arms. We're not dealing with Sinn Féin. I'm just clarifying your own position. I'm just clarifying your own position. You want to bring Sinn Féin into it, you'd have to explain to me why the British government didn't go into Catholic areas of Belfast and kill everybody in the hope of catching some terrorists. So why is Netanyahu still on this course? Because Hamas need to be removed, and the only way to remove them is to do it physically. Right. How's that working out for you? The people who wish Israel harm, individuals or institutions, countries or civilians, do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is discouraging them from their hatred of Israel or encouraging more of it? Well, it's absolutely very useful to them to. Don't spill any paint, eh? Right. You too. Thank you, James. I think perhaps the reason why I was uncomfortable with
Michael's analogy about paint is that quite often, and I think this week more than any other, the relativism of human response, the relativism of humanity itself has been on display. The fact that the killing of 3 British aid workers can cause so much more outrage, upset, heartbreak than the killing of 33,000 Palestinian people. But nonetheless, that paint analogy just got under my wire a little bit. And I'm definitely not apologising. I'm just explaining. Some of you running with Michael's analogies. Zach says, what do you do if you end up with more paint spilt than actually ends up on the walls? It's collateral damage, mate. Weren't you listening?